So, blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. That's from Matthew 5, verse 8. We might remember that we've been going through what's known as the beatitudes. So let's remember that they're building upon one another, aren't they? That the first three we visited, we were talking about a sort of honesty towards our need, our state, our position, our needs, that we're poor in spirit, that we are blessed when we mourn, and that we are meek. And then 2 weeks ago, Gary talked about this blessing when we hunger and thirst for righteousness. And that's a place where it starts to come out of those attitudes of recognising our need and our state. And then last week, as we're starting to understand and hunger and thirst for righteousness, right living with God, right relationship with Him, actually what comes out of that is a fruit, mercy. And Helen introduced us to that last week. And so today, we are looking at this verse, and one that states purity results in seeing God. Purity results in seeing God. It's an interesting verse. Have you ever heard the saying that seeing is believing? Well, this kind of flips it upside down, and there's something about believing leading to seeing. And so a starting point for me, and a good question for us to all ask ourselves, is, do we really want to see God? Do we want to see God? Does that sound like a blessing to you? And now, actually, in the whole realm of purity, and particularly what we've done in recent times with this word, purity, we can be tempted to think that actually I don't really want to see God because I'm not pure. I want to address that right now, right here and now. I want us to quickly establish something very fundamental to our faith and walk with God, and to our attitude and our way we see ourselves. Jesus is not talking about purity in the way that we might think He is, in the way that we might know it. Jesus is not saying, blessed are the sexually pure, for they will see God. The purity movement has a lot to answer for, It might have us believe that you are blessed when you save yourself for the one, that one person, and for your marriage bed, because then you'll have a great marriage, or then you'll have a great sex life, or maybe you're blessed because when you've kept yourself sexually pure, then actually you might enter heaven. No. Please, let's wipe that from our minds. All have fallen short of the glory of God. All have sinned. So Jesus, is He saying here that only He can see God? Because of this? No. I can't stress that enough. As I've said so many times with this famous Sermon on the Mount, and particularly the Beatitudes, Jesus is inviting us into a partnership of something. And so I must say we have messed up the notion or the understanding of purity completely. What Jesus is saying here is, blessed are those with an undivided heart. The Greek for purity actually is translated a bit better as not mixed up. Not... is of like a singular position. So Jesus is saying you are blessed when you are totally focused on God. That's what He's saying here. So actually a tougher verse, isn't it? Because I can't say that I'm totally undivided. I can't say that I'm 100% focused on God at all times. It's not the truth. It's not how we're distracted so often, aren't we? When I wake up, do I commit this day to Him? When I go to bed, do I look back and think, yes, that was committed to God. I was for God. I was completely focused and undivided. When things go well or things go wrong, is it God that I focus on in those moments? So I was watching this video of a young person's, just a reunion we had of a young person's church that Joe and I were part of, and this was when we were first going out. And there was like 15 people sitting in a room, and there was something up with the scene. And then it dawned on a few of us that were watching this video, no one had a phone. This was pre-smartphones. No one had their phone out. No one was divided with their attention. No one was looking elsewhere at their phone. You know what it's like, don't you? When you're chatting with someone and they're not giving you their attention, that they're focusing on their phone instead. It's divided, isn't it? You also know what it's like when you've got the buzzing in your pocket and you're trying to listen to someone, but at the same time you're wondering what's going on in your pocket. You might want to get it out and check it. We might think that the biggest challenge in our life is a purity issue in the sense of a sin issue. as we've made it here in the West. But the truth is, the biggest challenge of our life is a divided heart. And Jesus encourages us to get that right, to focus our attention on him and onto God again. Pay attention to our heart. It's the most central place in us. That's what our heart is. It's where we trust and where our drive for life comes from. And it can be deceitful, Jeremiah says, doesn't he? In chapter 17, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can actually know it? But at the same time, we find a verse from Isaiah that says, above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. Don't be fooled into thinking your heart is not divided. It is, and we must guard it. And so today I want to invite us up to take up purity, the purity challenge, actually, which is one of a pure heart and commit it to God. Jesus made this possible for us. And when we are able to achieve this focus on God, when we are able to move towards purity, which is focus on God, an undivided heart, actually we start to see him. We'll see him in the here and now. We'll see him through the scriptures as we commit ourselves to them. We will see them in creation as we are committed and focused on God. We'll see him in creation. We'll see him in our fellow human beings. We will see the face of God in those who are made in his image. We'll even see him in the most difficult of circumstances that we face, in the hard times and in the struggle. When we are pure in our heart and our motive towards God, when we are focused on him and undivided, we will see him. Because blessed are the pure in heart. Blessed are those with the undivided heart, for they will see God.